So just make yourself comfortable in the chair without initially too much concern for the sort of intricacies, the subtleties of posture. Just if you want to try and sit upright, and if you need to, you can always put a cushion a bit behind you if you need that bit of extra support for your back. You don't want to strain in back and shoulders, and we'll gradually work on refining this, on developing this. Take a couple of slow, gentle breaths and give yourself a few moments just to let yourself settle in, to let your thoughts settle. And then rubbing your hands together and the pads of your fingers gently tapping over your face. And then going up over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder, just feeling the gentle vibration in the muscles and the inside of your arm, not the outside. And the other side, shoulder first, then your arm. And then the upper part of the chest. Put your hands down, just very light as you go over your belly. And then finally, your legs. Good. So, now that you've sort of had a chance to just settle in, it's a better opportunity just to be a little bit more aware of your posture. We're looking for a posture that feels supported so that we're able to release tightness and stiffness within the body, and that allows for movement. It's a very simple formula if you think about it. So if you can be, you can perhaps see I'm very forwards in my chair. If I show you from the side here, most of my weight's back in my hips and buttocks, but I tilt forwards until I feel about a third of my weight, about 30% of my weight in my feet. So just a slight bit of my feet being pushed into the floor. And between the feet and hips, this constitutes the foundation. This is where I want my weight to drop. My head is sort of over that. It's a square foundation. Just allowing your centre of gravity to drop through. Giving this feeling of rooting down. The lower your centre of gravity, the less strain there is up on the upper part of the body in particular. And the more stable you would be, that is probably more noticeable standing than seated. So that helps to take away some of the tightness in the upper part of the body. Angling forwards like this, you can get a feeling of the front of your body, your belly, solar plexus, your chest and ribs hanging slightly. So your back and your spine support the front of your body, and again that allows for a little bit of releasing of tightness in belly, solar plexus, chest. You may find that straight away has an impact on your breathing. We want to try and breathe almost as though our lungs were down in our belly, but expanding in the belly, then in the solar plexus, then in the chest, drawing the air down into our lungs. Your shoulders drop, and as you get more used to this posture and you settle into it and you lose more of the tightness, just becoming aware of this inequality of the area of the skeleton and the surrounding tissue, which continues to support you without that tightness in your back and your shoulders and so on. So we have these three sort of aspects of how our body is supported by feet and hips, by the dropping of our centre of gravity, by our back and spine supporting the front of the body, and by this skeleton within the body supporting the outer regions of the body, allowing for a muscle tone, a tone in all the soft tissue, not just the muscles, that's quite sort of flexible, quite supple, quite elastic. It's not that they're just relaxed, there's no muscle tone there. Muscles are definitely working, but none of them are under strain, none of them under a full load. So with that very much at the front of your attention, that awareness of the posture and the space that we begin to get within that, when we release the tightness, there's more space within the body. Like taking off a new pair of shoes and putting on an old pair of slippers, you can wiggle your toes around a little bit. So keeping that, as I say, at the front of your mind as a definite, clear intention. Just turning your head a little. So as we start to move, we want to get a sense of that movement filling the space. In the same way that if water runs downhill into a hollow in the ground, it will fill up the hollow. What we don't want to do is then start to sort of push a bit harder. Like the water, the movement itself will have the effect of just dissolving and eroding, creating more space for the movement. So it will just begin to release some of that sort of deep tightness that we can sometimes feel within the body. Nothing should be forced. And then shoulders, hands in front of your shoulders, push your elbows forwards, just let them swing over. As we start to do these movements, another aspect of the movement and the posture that also helps to release tightness starts to become evident, which is that although we're moving our arms, actually quite a lot of the body is involved. You may feel an expansion through your chest and your sides. As you come over, as your elbows go forwards, an expansion in your upper back. These are patterns that are all part of the overall movement. So rather than feeling that you somehow have to lift your elbows or strain to move your arms, you could almost take a breath in if you wanted to. You just let the chest expand, and that pushes your elbows over. You contract it, draws it down, the back expanding pushes them forwards, and so on and so forth. And we just start to observe these patterns of movement, these connections in the body, change in direction. Not all those patterns will help the movement. So as we get to understand them better, we bring a certain amount of discrimination, and we can actually bring our intentions to those movements that are actually helping the overall movement, whether it be a physical expansion and contraction, or something a bit more fluid, a bit more energetic. Bringing your hands down to your sides, and then arms rotating. So we could think of several different types of movement in a way. They're all connected really, but muscles and joints move, obviously. And then we've got the slightly more subtle sense of things like our breathing, our circulation, digestion. All of these metabolic processes require movement. And then a little bit more subtle again is this sense of a connected movement, a flow, an energy moving through the whole body. So that this movement, for instance, again, it's as though the whole of the front of your body expands out and then contracts, kind of bypassing the separation between one part of the body and another that we sometimes feel. And this is where we get this notion of an energy flowing through the body. And we have an intention for that to be a very harmonious movement. and bringing your hands up. And these very subtle changes within the body are areas that we may well find, or we do find, that the mind, in the form of our intentions, can have a great influence on. We might use direct intervention, we might use some kind of image or memory to bring about those changes. Going back the other way, they all feed into this very conscious intentionality as a feature of the art. And then let your hands rest. Now, tilting your pelvis forwards. This is not a bend in your back or your neck, but you're holding your upper body goes forward, so you feel more weight going into your feet. Your legs get compressed and then they expand. The feet push into the floor. You come back to the upright position and settle into your hips. Even as you go forward, your hips are dropping back, so there's an extension through your back, and then that also complements the push up from your legs. You sink into your hips as though you're in a very springy chair, and then you feel the push that directs you forwards. So the energy, strength for the movement comes from your feet and your hips. In theory, you can do this movement without any sense of a strain or tightening up anywhere in the upper part of your body. Once again, that allows for this fluid movement. So if you imagine moving in water, a very common image in Tai Chi, with that sense of a soft resistance, as you go forwards, you'll feel the pressure of the water against the front of your body. As you come back, you'll feel it against the back. Slightly, what you might call a slightly denser feel. And then maybe just feeling that feeling shifts, like a wave flowing forwards and then flowing backwards. It's really important that you get that feeling of moving, using your feet, moving from the ground, moving from your hips, not straining in your shoulders. Because if you start to do that, if you're lifting your shoulders or whatever, then actually you'll block that movement. So a strong awareness, a strong intention on what's happening in the lower part of your body is one of the first things that we would really look to build. The flow of the movement is dependent upon that. And this time, if you come back and if you turn in your hips, not twisting your shoulders around, then you'll find that more of your weight will go into the foot that you turn towards. So one of the, in fact, the main guiding, directing parts of the body, the one that sort of we shaped the later movements from, is this area between hips and waist. To use an analogy, if you drive a car, you put your foot on the accelerator and the car goes forwards, and you steer the car with the steering wheel. If you didn't put your foot on the accelerator, you're not going anywhere. And in the same way, the foot on the accelerator is this transfer of your weight. It's to do with the lower part of your body, and the steering wheel is the centre of the body. Turning the other way. You use a bike as well. You pedal. Use the legs to drive you along, but you steer through your attention to the handlebars. And then rolling your pelvis around, drawing your head and shoulders around in a very smooth circle. It's really important to pay attention in these initial exercises, particularly when we're working with the lower body, because again and again we find that we lose that awareness, we lose that sense of contact with the ground beneath our feet, with our root, with this driving force, this driving energy that comes from that. And then go back the other way. When we start to bring our arms back into the movements, as we will do in a few moments, then we have a natural bias towards the upper part of the body. So keeping a very clear awareness and a very clear intention through our feet, our legs, our hips. Okay. Coming back to the upright position and stepping out. Put the heel down, lower your toes, gently press the foot into the floor, planting the foot, and then same thing again. Making sure that again, you really feel that contact with the ground. And then, having planted the foot, you roll the centre forwards in your weight moves. Make sure that your foot is properly planted before you let the weight move. The rooting down, of course, the awareness of what's happening in feet and legs is what leads to Tai Chi's reputation being really helpful for people with balance problems. Bringing your foot back, changing sides. First of all, the empty step, not too quick to bring your upper body into the movement. And then moving forwards and sit back. And then we're going to alternate from side to side. Just notice how your body accommodates this. When the foot goes down, you move your weight across, your body turns just a little bit. Then you go forwards. Bring your feet back. So now we bring the hands back into the movement, but try not to lose that awareness of the lower part of the body, and try not to drift off. So this is quite difficult, particularly in the chair-based exercises. We can easily find ourselves drifting away. I would recommend, if that's what's happening, keeping your eyes open. I know it can be nice to focus inwards, but that can also sort of cause us to shut down. So keeping your eyes open, kind of focused into the mid-distance, not looking specifically at any particular thing, or apart from the fact you'll be following the screen when I'm doing on the screen. So, weight back in your hips, turning your hands palm forwards, and then combining this rotation with the movement of your weight. This bird folds its wings. So the movement starts with that little push from your hips. Our arms are the most visible part of Tai Chi and come last in order of importance. It's not that they're not important, it's just that the arms are moved by what else is happening in the rest of the body. And what happens in the rest of the body ultimately comes from that connection to the ground. This way we start to get a more sustainable movement. We could sit there and sort of wave our arms around a little bit and then drift off, not really achieve that much, but with that awareness and with that intention, that sense of moving from the ground, we can keep the connections through the body, from the soles of our feet to the tips of our fingers, working efficiently. And this time, hands facing backwards, coming back. As you go forwards and you settle into your feet, your arms are pushed forwards a little bit. And as you go back, you settle into your hips and your arms are pushed back. It's as fishermen cast a net. Most of the time your arms are trailing behind your shoulders. They're being pulled and they're being pulled. Maybe recalling that image of moving through water and just feeling the effect of the movement coming up from the ground, through your back and spine into the front of your body, and there, down your arms into your hands. And then this time, as you go forwards, imagining the ball in front of you, your arms draped over the ball, rolling the ball in towards you. This is not us lifting our arms. I imagine the ball here, and this is a pull. I mean, if you think about the image of the movement, if I'm here, my arms are on the ball, and I lift my arms, they would no longer be touching the ball. I have to get a sense of pulling through here. So our arms develop a very quiet quality in the movement, and they don't dominate the movement, and gradually we become aware once again of these changing patterns of movement, of expansion and contraction, particularly in the upper part of the body. And with this one, for instance, if you're not straining in your shoulders, if you're not stiffening in your arms or your back, you'll begin to notice as we come up, there's an expansion in your belly that rises up, solar plexus and chest, a bit like with the breathing, like a wave that arises from your feet, comes up underneath your arms and pushes your arms up. So we do end up getting a movement where our arms go up more, not because we're trying to lift them, but because the movement, the energy is arising from the ground. But if you're not using your feet, if you're not using your hips, if you've lost that contact with the ground, that won't be happening. Now this time, turning your hands palm in, and just a subtle change, that same expansion up and then down. This time, the intention is to have that movement push your arms out. It's almost like a balloon. If you think, there's a big balloon here, it expands, and with the last exercise, it was pushing the arms up. Now it's your arms are on top of it. Now your arms are either side of the balloon. Feel what's happening in your chest and your upper back. Very soft movement, although it's quite expansive with your arms. You shouldn't feel any sense of strain in the upper body. Still that sense of movement flowing through, gently massaging from the inside. One more time. Changing to pushing wave, a little bit more focused, a little bit more directed. But that same sense of the wave flowing through your body. It's called pushing wave. So again, not losing an awareness of what's happening between your hips and your feet, that transfer of your weight. The saying goes in Tai Chi, the movement is rooted in our feet, transmitted through our legs, directed and guided through the centre of the body, and expressed in our upper body and arms. One more time, going straight forwards. And then finding it with the stepping we did earlier, and once again, just sort of feel how your body accommodates the step. Planting the foot, then moving forwards, coming back, taking your time, bringing that foot in, feeling how your weight moves across slightly. You turn a little bit towards the extending foot, and then you move the weight forwards. Notice whether you're moving too quickly. You're getting here, kind of trying to push with the arms. Get the foot out there first, plant the foot, move the weight. Now, coming back, turning to the front, bringing your feet parallel, roll your fingers into a hollow fist. Going forwards, rotating your arms and coming back. So this could be quite a tight rotation in your shoulders. But really only if we're doing the exercise wrong. So again, if we're sitting here going like this, the shoulders are coming up, of course it's going to be tight. But actually, it's the weight moving forwards, and then the arms just gently extending. Weight moving back, arms contracting. When we do it that way, we can begin to get more of that rotation through the arm. So by moving the arms and hands less, we actually get more movement. Not only do we get more movement, we get more effective movement, more fluid movement. And then opening your fingers, turning your hands out. So almost like you're doing the breaststroke, bringing your hands in, dropping your wrists, pressing forwards. Now again, really feeling this opening across the chest as you settle into your hips, and then the chest contracting slightly to push your arms forwards as you move your weight. So just feeling that everything, every part of your body, from the soles of your feet to the palms of your hands, everything in between, has a role in the movement. Just growing awareness of our whole body, mind and energy gathered and focused through these fluid movements. It's time. Turning your hands palm down. Turn, ease forward, let that movement gently push your arms out, turn into swing around, and then drawing back. So it's called polishing the tail. Be careful that you don't lock your arms out. Your elbows, your shoulders, the joints of your fingers should all feel just a little bit loose, helping us to maintain that sense of space within the body. One more time. So bringing your hands back, turning your hands palm up, and push up from the ground. So again, you get that wave-like movement coming up through your body, and then contracting down. So you're lifting the ball and then pressing it down. But the key thing here is that as you lift, as your upper body expands, there's a strong downward movement through your feet and through your hips, but most importantly through your feet, maintaining that connection with the root. See if you can just feel that slight sense of movement coming up through your back and your spine, expanding out through the front of your body. So your body will just filling up with a fresher energy, and then allowing the stagnant energy to float away. Turning your hands so your fingers point out, the expanding in the body, pushing your arms away from your body. Just observing how when that happens, they naturally swing up. But again, we're not trying to lift the arms. This is the wild goose, this lovely image of the bird in flight. And applying the same principle, coming forwards, hands crossing in front of your belly, sinking into your hips, feeling the movement upwards through your belly, to your solar plexus, into your chest, pushing your elbows out, drawing your fingers around in a nice smooth circle. Just parting the clouds. It may be that the imagery doesn't work for you, doesn't work for everybody. Not every image will work for everybody. But when it does, it might bring some kind of quality in. With this one, it makes me think of the sun when it comes out from behind a bank of grey clouds. That's a lovely sort of expansive feeling. But it isn't a stretch. And we don't want the arms to go out and create a tightness across our back, our shoulders, our sides, our chest. It would be self-defeating. It would block the very movement that we're trying to cultivate to move the arms with. Now, letting your hands drop down, feeling the weight of your arms hanging from your shoulders. With the next push up and expansion on one side of your body, starting again with your elbow, drawing your fingers up. At the top of the movement, just rotating your arm like you're plucking something off a tree, and pull down, let your arm come to its full length. Bring your attention to the middle of your body, then to the opposite side, and then feel the expansion. As this dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Don't rush your attention from one side to another. Feel what's happening in the centre, a sense of sinking into the chair, then the push up. One more round. Then bringing your hands with the inside of your arm lightly touching to that side part, the lower part of your body, your centre, and from there expanding outwards, feeling the gentle lengthening through your back and your spine, coming back and once again for a moment sort of touching base, just feeling that sense of your centre sinking into the ground, feeling the push up, this time directing the movement sideways and back. So there's just this moment of stillness here to sink into the ground and then push up. So the focusing of our attention into the centre becomes a way of just finding that sense of stillness. That means that we're more able to discern what's going on in the body. A distracted mind, a sleepy mind, one that's drifted off for whatever reason, simply isn't going to notice the kind of subtle changes in the body for us to bring our attention to. One more round. Still feeling a third of your weight in your feet, but now again with a slight shift, one leg extends, your knees still a little bit bent. Turn your hands, palms forwards. Easy pause, letting your hips drop back, spine lengthening and contracting. It's a scoop in the sea, looking at the sky. Imagine somebody sitting behind your chair, grab hold of your belt, and they're pulling you back into the chair. So again, not straining in your shoulders or your back. One more time. So we're learning how we can come to this upright position without having to strain, without having to tighten up. Now, rolling your fingers into a hollow fist again, this time going forwards, your head going slightly forwards and up, chest expanding and contracting to bring your arms around and then back down. This is grasping the tiger's ears. This can be quite a sort of tight movement in our shoulders again. But remember, actually, we're not using the shoulders. We're using that rising, expanding energy from the ground. We're using that movement forwards with the shoulders that comes from the hips. the opening and expansion in the chest, followed by the contraction in the chest and the opening in the back. All of those things are very much a part of this movement, contributing to the overall energy. Changing sides. This is true for all of the movements. So really the principal role of your arms, your hands, and your shoulders is not to create the movement, that sense of internal energy, but to give it a shape for it to be expressed. We're told by the old classic writers that when one part of our body is in motion, our whole body is in motion. So I'm changing to grasp the toes. I do feel that sense of our whole body that developed, literally a holistic awareness, does have a very healing quality. We feel less fragmented, less sort of like scatty, if you like, in mind and body and energy, clearer in our movements, and as you'll see when we come to standing, more stable in our movements. So one more time. So moving into the standing movements, just preparing to do that. Once again, rubbing your hands together and then tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder and your arm. And then on the other side. Onto your chest. And belly. This is quite a vigorous exercise. The idea is to sort of wake up the energy a little bit. And then your legs. And to sort of activate the muscles of your legs, pushing your heels up. And then circling around. And back the other way. Okay, then standing. So if you're following what I said in the seated exercises and keeping that awareness and keeping that intention to work from the lower part of the body to keep hips and feet and so on an active part of the movement, at this point it should be very straightforward for you to feel the same thing is happening in the standing. It's much more subtle in the chair, I feel. So standing with your feet in line, parallel, supporting your hips, so hip width across your feet, toes pointing forwards, and from the side, if I exaggerate a little, I want my weight to be more forwards in my feet. That will give me this feeling of angling forwards. Now what we often do in a situation like this is we pull our shoulders back, because straight away I'm straining my shoulders, I'm straining my chest, I'm straining my belly. What we want to try and do is more like a dog would do, or more like a toddler would do, which is just to allow the hips to drop back. And this way I come up with a nice open, spacious posture. Letting your hips drop down a little bit more, bringing your arms around. Standing version of the exercise routine down that we did earlier. A very important, strong intention to let your center of gravity drop on the downward movement. And as you come up, your feet pushing into the floor, you're not lifting your weight up, you're extending your body, you're growing out of the root like a plant would grow out of the root. Change into the standing version of the wild goose, pushing your arms away from your body, not lifting them. Remember that image of the balloon expanding? That's helpful to you. And then part in the clouds. One more time. Letting your hands drop down, the weight of your arms hang from your shoulders. Turn one foot out, step straight forward with the other foot. You can see the background between my legs, so I've kept the width of the step, and I've stepped forwards about the same distance. So again, it's roughly square, but this time transferring our weight on a diagonal line from foot to foot. This is a very important movement. The weight transfer is a crucial part of ordinary walking. And if we get it wrong, then things can go badly wrong. If I move my weight in that direction, then I'm likely to fall. So this is where the awareness that you've developed in the chair of what's happening in your feet, what's happening in your hips, how your weight moves, is your best friend at this point. Try not to strain in your upper body, chest, back, shoulders. As you come back, raising your toes. Don't come up when you do this. You can have the front foot slightly turned out. Just push the back knee forwards. Get through both hips dropping down rather than the sense of lifting up. Allow gravity to work down through your body so that you keep the root. And gradually bring your upper body more in line with your supporting leg. No further. So what we don't want is to end up here, because now, once again, I'm going to fall. So all these ideas that we had in the chair about how it feels when our body is supported are applied here. Stepping in, you're supported by your leg, by your back, by your skeleton. That means you can bring the foot in, and when you step back, the ball of the foot goes down, the heel, you plant the foot. Come into the back, but supported by your leg, supported by your back, supported by your skeleton. You can take the step, heel goes down, ball of the foot, you plant and move. So each time your weight lands in one leg, ask yourself, do I feel that support? And then try that with the other foot forwards. To start off with, not all of our weight is getting to the leg, but we still want to feel on each leg that we're supported mostly by one leg. And then raising your toes and your heel. We learn in Tai Chi that when we've got this support, when we're moving from the ground and so on and so forth, there's a very distinctive feel to Tai Chi. When we don't have that feeling, then we know that something's sort of gone amiss, and the starting point for working that out would always be the feet. And then just step in. Again, going back to driving a car, riding a bike, even walking along the road, just going to the shops. If something goes amiss with the car or the bike, if your shoelace comes undone, you register it. You feel that, oh, yeah, you're not quite sure, there's something not quite right. This time, take a step through, forwards or backwards, depending on where you have room. So this growing awareness of movement, some are going to change direction, the quality of the movement, the sense of space within the body that allows for the movement. Now, have your right foot forwards. So we're going to do the standing version of fisherman cast and net. Once again, this is not led by our arms. Start with your weight in your back foot, ease forwards, and then as your weight lands in the front foot, you push your arms forwards just a little bit more. Coming back, as you land in the back leg, you push your arms back. Just letting them swing nice and fluidly. Beginning to feel the movement transmitted up from your legs through your hips to your back, from your back into the front of your body, and then into your arms. There's a slight curve. This is quite natural. I'm not trying to lift my arms, but because they're attached to my shoulder, they will tend to swing up. And as they do, particularly as you go forward, see if you can just notice what the associated movements within your body, in your back, your belly, and your sides, are with that slight sense of a rising movement, a curving movement. Which parts of your body are involved in this? And then building on that, you go forwards and you turn into the movement, wind blows the willows. So if we can do this without the tightening, without the stiffness, building in our back and shoulders, we're going to be much more stable. But if we're sort of lifting our shoulders up, you can see straight away I've come up. Rooted in our feet, transmitted through our legs, guided through the centre part of the body. This is where the flow comes from. Okay, try those two movements with your left foot forwards. Fisherman cast a net. Pause this time, turning. And then this time, combine it with the step, and again you can go forwards or backwards. Bring the empty foot in, step and plant it forwards as you go forward, lowering your arms, turning and bringing the foot in. Make sure again you've got that feeling of being supported, and if you're comfortable with that and with the idea of doing this, just bringing the foot up. And your hips drop back. It's as dragonfly skims the water. If it's a case of wobbling around, then keep your foot down and focus on just that feeling of being supported. And then going back. One more time. And good. So going back to your chair, and once again, just taking time, considering your sitting posture. And obviously the chair is supporting you, but what else? Feet, legs, back and spine, the whole of your skeleton supporting you from within. Letting your hands drop down. And then our closing exercise, embrace tiger, pushing your arms out and then bring them around, doing the contraction in your chest, so you're holding a ball against your chest, and then drawing your hands in, returning to the mountain, everything dropping down, mind and body, energy, all just settling nicely. And then from that settled position, once again expanding. One more round. And let your hands rest. Okay, and then just open your eyes. Lovely. Thank you as always, everybody. And again, as always, please do get in touch with any comments or questions. So take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.